Okay, okay, okay. All right, chat. Please let us know if you can hear us or not, or is there
Yes.
any. All right,
And
chat.
you hear
Please let us
both
know if you can hear
Maanyaa,
us or not,
however
or
she
is there
pronounces
any.
her name or spells her name currently, because it varies, or Landon.
There's an echo. They're saying, hold on.
Okay, I can fix that. I can fix that. It may be me.
Okay.
Do, 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 do.
Okay. Let me see if it works this way.
Here, here.
Let me see if it
Here,
works
it may be
this
me.
way.
So I'm going to try to get this guy. It may be me.
I think so. It was from my end also. There were two inputs for my microphone. I think so. The sound's fixed. Yeah, so it was on my end. It was on the OBS. There were two sound inputs on my side.
I am hearing. It is odd because I am hearing you twice.
You're hearing me twice. Um,
Yes, I'm hearing you delayed.
do you have the stream on YouTube opened somewhere?
I have muted you.
Can you hear me now? Can you still hear me?
I I've muted there. So let me try it again.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you're now. That works. That works.
Okay,
You
that's
see,
working. Testing.
yeah. If this was Dapper's channel, you'd be taking a drink for Dapper as a professional. Um, but Nadia and I have just shown you how quickly we can destroy the level of professional production that Chess has established. Right when she goes away and the mice come out to play, we chew on the wires.
Yeah, and there's sparks everywhere, and everything's falling down, and then Chesh has to come back and gather everything and repair it and try to bring it back to normal. She's back tomorrow, by the way, everyone. She was on vacation, so yeah. Um, looking.
And don't believe the thing that's in the chat that says Chesh, because we know Chesh was very specifically on vacation.
Come on, Landon! You blew my
Oh,
cover. You blew Smitty's cover. No. Oh God. Hi April. Hello Alex. So yeah, so we'll try to keep it short and simple today because it's moi.
yeah,
So I'm actually
limit the damage.
yeah, I'm actually surprised the transition was quite smooth this time rather than like the disaster that happened last last time. Well, no worries. It's fine. All right.
There is, there is a theory that Chesh is actually an AI bot.
Oh.
I say theory. It's not a real theory. It is a
Hypothesis, is it?
rumor. It's a rumor. It's one of those conspiracy things.
Oh, okay.
It's like
Uh,
has has she tries to cover by
yeah.
pretending that she's opposed to AI when in fact she really is a deep fake.
Interesting. Yeah, see, when an entity keeps saying that they will stay 17 forever, you start thinking, there's something else
Yeah.
going on, isn't it?
Mm,
Oh
yeah.
God. So, what are you drinking, Landon?
So I have started off with some Kona coffee. Right, Kona is on the west side of the Big Island, on the slopes of Mauna Loa. Some of the best coffee in the world, real Kona. Um, but my Killia mug is being used by a guest. Um, I also
Oh.
will I also will graduate to Rainier
Okay.
beer. Mount Rainier is it's a beer named after Mount Rainier, and we'll talk about Rainier in just a moment. How about yourself?
I am I already had a cup of coffee in the morning because my dear cat, Dr. Proton, decided to wake me up around 2 a.m. in the morning. He refuses to eat without my presence. So I'll have to now start shutting the door to my room at night so that he doesn't come in and disturb me because it's not going to be a good thing during the work days. So,
Yeah. Well, Dr. Proton is governed by quantum chromodynamics, which is a
ah,
very complex thing because it has to have three flavors and three colors, and it's a very very complex mathematical thing.
yes,
And Dr. Proton is just showing you the complexities and difficulties of
yes.
quantum chromodynamics.
Chromodynamics. Okay,
Not,
I see. I see.
no,
I see. I see.
not quantum electrodynamics, which is just the electrons, is
Yeah,
relatively
yeah,
easy to understand.
yeah,
Quantum chromodynamics. But we see the spot for which um, the proton could be occupied in that little
yeah.
chamber over there.
He's enjoying the sun on the other side at the moment. So yeah, that's
Uh,
why he's not here. He might come in and sit down when he starts, hearing my ramblings, and he's like, "This lady needs a support, you know, person."
we have a volcano show to do. I guess we should
Oh
probably
yes,
before we destroy whatever audience that Chesh has built up on our channel.
yeah. So
Probably.
in short, I'm just on my second cup of coffee, but I've tried to make it half the strength of what I usually have, so I'm not bouncing off the walls by the end of the show. So hopefully
Oh,
that's how it remains. So we shall see. So, starting with the volcano show, how's Madam Pele doing? Let me just.
she is behaving
Uh-huh.
like Madam Pele behaves.
Ah, okay.
And we have some interesting updates,
Okay.
um, which of course you'll have to get the Cheshbot to issue a Chesh prediction for even next month because we'll see what happens.
Interesting.
But
Yeah.
as folks who have been watching have seen, but perhaps those that are new to this thing, we talk about volcanoes, and volcanoes are a very very common event on Earth. There are lots of Earth has lots of volcanoes, very wiggly, very wobbly. I live in a place that wiggles and wobbles, um, and and let's say Maanyaa happens to be in a place that has lots of wiggly and wobbly stuff going on too.
Right on
Uh,
top of it.
yes, it's a thing. So to say a volcano is erupting is like saying it's raining someplace on planet Earth, right? So what you should see here at the moment is a map where the red lines show you where the ocean floor is spreading. The triangles show you where there are known volcanoes that have erupted in the last 100,000 years or plus, right? Um, and you can see here that between the plates where things are spreading or smashing, there are lots of volcanoes, right? And for example, the Pacific Ocean has lots of volcanoes around it because of these lines. Um, the Africa you could see if you look on Africa, Africa's actually tearing in pieces that line that goes through what's called the Rift Valley. Have you ever heard of that? Uh, that made famous by the Leakeys discovering all kinds of things that Dapper Dano could tell you about.
Ooh, yes.
Um, Humanoids, so forth. That Africa is tearing apart, ripping down that side that line you see in Africa heading towards the lakes, and that ridge is part of the ripping. Um, Boundary lines like Japan and the Kamchatka Peninsula and the Alaska Peninsula are full of all kinds of stuff out of South America. So we live in a very wiggly wobbly place. Um, right now, there are around 47 volcanoes that are erupting. Here's a map of the current things here showing. So if you look at this set, the dark red triangles are volcanoes that are actively erupting. The orange ones are in unrest and are basically have minor activity. So you can see the whole kinds of stuff around the world right now. Um, if we look at, we usually have the usual suspects. There's Stromboli and Etna in Italy. They're almost always erupting.
Yeah.
Um, and Africa has the usual four that are erupting right now. This is the red stuff, lava coming out. Indonesia leads the pack with
Mm.
eight. There's got all kinds of because Indonesia is very wiggly. But again, if you look at the map, you see these lines, all those triangles, lines of triangles. Is lots of very proficient at there. South America has the usual set of four. If you go look at South America, we see all kinds of volcanoes in that area. So it's not surprising. Um, we see other regions. Antarctica, Erebus is almost always erupting. Pacific Ocean has a bunch. Um, the Philippines has a bunch, and again, you can look at stuff and see Pacific Ocean, Philippines, all kinds of stuff there. So it's not surprising that there's lots of volcanoes erupting. I think right now, when I did the count, there were 36 volcanoes with lava actually pouring out of them right now. So volcanoes are very common.
Yeah.
Um, Now, we've had some activity from Mount Etna in Italy, another very active volcano, um, and the it has a there's a little bit of events going on the top. And is in Sicily, as you can see there with the little foot of the boot of Italy, um, and it's got some activity going on in there. Another one, another big volcano that's not active but is actually considered one of the most dangerous volcanoes in the world is
Mm.
Mount Rainier.
Okay.
And here we see it from the Guelph Valley, Washington. Mount Rainier, it's not it's dangerous not from necessarily exploding
Mm.
or sending streams of lava down on the homes like
Down to the
flood.
civilization. Yeah.
Yeah, it is lahars. It's stuff. Now here's a case. Here's a picture. This
Oh,
is
I
not
see. I see. I see. I see.
all right.
Yeah.
Here is the eruption of Nero de Ruza volcano, that in Colombia. And what happened here is that magma got near the surface.
Hmm.
So imagine magma getting near the surface, not even coming out, but near the surface, and you have these glaciers sitting on this giant mountain. This mountain is in like the 4,200-meter elevation, so there's big glaciers there. So imagine magma gets close to the surface and starts warming the bottom of the glacier, and to where it melts.
Yep.
Now, if you're melting up here on top, then that water starts to work its way underneath the glacier,
Hmm.
down slope because it's got all this pressure, right?
Yep.
You've got almost 4 kilometers, maybe 3 or 4 kilometers of pressure, and it reaches the bottom where the weight of the glacier runs out because it ends, and all of a sudden you get the pressure stuff that it bursts out. So there's been no steam gone out of the mountain. The bottom has gotten warm, and you get this massive, massive flood that
I think so.
um,
They're known as flash floods also sometimes, but I guess
yeah,
flash floods come
yeah,
from the rain, not from the glaciers, I guess. So this one has a leher. Leher is kind of it's from Urdu, if I'm not wrong. It comes from the Urdu language, the leher, which means a wave,
yeah,
a massive
yeah,
wave.
yeah,
So that's what
yes.
it is.
Right.
So one
And
question.
it's not a weather thing. It's a warming glacier thing. Go ahead,
Yeah.
please.
So your beer, Rainier, is it inspired by Mount Rainier? Or am I
Yes,
wrong?
in fact, if you look on the can, you'll see the R is for Rainier. It's called Rainier beer, and
Uh-huh.
there's a picture of the volcano, Mount Rainier volcano,
Ah, interesting.
on on the set. And Mount Rainier is erupted in the 1800s. It's an active volcano. In this particular case, in Colombia, this town, again from a volcano that merely managed to melt the underneath side of a glacier where it came out. 23,000 people died in a matter of minutes because you get this. You've gotten this. The glacier has all this pressure on this liquid water. It squirts out the bottom like you have taken and hit a
Hose and
two
just like,
pieces with a hammer,
yeah, or something
right?
like that, yeah.
Right, and it comes out violently. also sending out lots of rock and other things as well that the water is basically scouring out. And to be in these lahar zones is similar to being in a tornado alley or being in a case where the river floods, right? But in these cases, these flash floods are you don't have the warning, hey, there's a storm coming. You don't even have the warning necessarily that there's smoke coming out the volcano. All that really happens is it's gotten warm enough underneath the glacier
Yeah.
to start to melt.
Yeah. So
Um,
so this was in Colombia, was it?
this particular picture here you're seeing
It's
is
from
in the town of Columbia.
and
The
you're saying that the Mount Rainier is at the risk of something similar or what?
Yeah, Mount Rainier has done. Let's go back to this spot here again. Mount Rainier has had lahars as
Okay.
in the last in even the last century. And different ones have reached the point of like the town, the city of there's cities in the area like Tacoma that live in denial about the next time that essentially Mount Rainier has a lahar event because the floods come out there are very fast and it's going to happen again. Probably less of a problem in places like Seattle because of ridges, but places like Tacoma or definitely places like the Puyallup Valley
Yeah,
are
if you look
areas.
at
Yeah,
if you look at the terrain right in the picture also, right? It's like it's very very apt for a lahar to just like come in at great speed, isn't it? It's just giving
yeah,
it that area that it needs to just like spread out
yeah,
and just come in with with a massive force, and to not take that seriously, yeah. Why wouldn't you? My thing is,
yeah,
why wouldn't you take that seriously? In my opinion, this should be
yeah.
taken seriously. But I guess the town council or whoever manages the disaster relief don't care, I guess, or don't get the enough budget or something like that. So they have to prioritize things, and this is not on priority. I don't get it. It should still be on
Uh,
number one priority, in my opinion. But who
yeah,
am I?
it is a problem, and I mean it's a problem that that various officials for various reasons um, have chosen to not pay attention.
Hmm.
Um, I will give you an example. Here's a map of Mount Rainier,
Hmm.
and you see these the Har hazard zone, right? Here's
Hmm.
you could see the triangle is a peak of the mountain, and you see all these zones have been places where lahars have come actually on a fairly fair geologically frequent basis, right? And the lahars that wiped out Puyallup and hit Tacoma have been so in like the last couple of centuries. This is not a theoretical it'll happen sometime in super future. This is a geologically frequent event, perhaps on the order of a century or two, but nevertheless. And yet, if you look at how it floods, if you're on the ridge line between it, you'll be fine. Much like if you're if a river floods and you're on a high point, you'll be okay. You'll be bothered, but you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Um, so this is a case. This is one of those things. But I mean, you know that sometimes knowing about a hazard and getting governments to do something effectively about planning for a hazard are very different things.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why natural disasters are always put at the back seat. I don't get it because
Yeah,
when we do the risk assessment, right? Sometimes it doesn't depend on like how rare an event is or how rarely it will happen or how unlikely it will happen. It's like the impact of that one event just raises the what do you say, the grade of that risk or
yeah,
hazard, isn't it? So it just
yeah,
needs one layer so for like to just go into the town or into the county and just cause destruction, millions of dollars and lives lost, and to even risk that is, I still don't understand it. Why we risk
yeah.
something like that? Why don't we take nature seriously? I don't get it.
And let me make a particularly strong condemnation of the Tacoma city councils. You have purposely built hospitals and schools in the zone that's known for lahar.
What?
But you will probably be long gone after that place gets wiped out. But you, council, are responsible for that, right? What should happen with the middle of Puyallup and of Tacoma is turn into a park. Basically, you put it into a green zone and say, you can't build here. If there's buildings, you've got to leave. You've got to move out of that zone area. And but the sense I've gotten is they would rather focus on disaster recovery than disaster avoidance. To suggest that that Orting, Puyallup, Tacoma should have the centers of theirs turned into like a park zone where people can walk and bike and so forth. Otherwise, you don't put infrastructure there. Would be very expensive. But guess what? What they're really doing is saying when lahar does actually wipe it out, and that CNN does all these pictures and people gawk at all of this stuff, and then eventually there's a disaster declared, and people send out their thoughts and prayers, and the governor and the president come and visit the thing and look all shocked. Meanwhile, us taxpayers pay for the recovery to do what? Put the stuff right back where it should be,
Yeah.
and yet that thousands of people die. So hey, Arting, Puyallup, Tacoma city councils, right now, you know this is happening. It's your responsibility. And when it happens, I hope people come and find you and say, why did you do something? Why did you
Oh,
let all these people die, right? But
yeah.
maybe, yeah, I'm getting too excited.
Yes, you are. I was about to say, I'm like, I know, Landon, you care so much, but I don't know if this show might reach someone who's in that area, and they might be like, yeah, got a point
Yeah,
there. So,
yeah.
and yeah,
Another thing,
thoughts
okay,
and
go ahead.
thoughts and prayers, they're useless. Thoughts and prayers are useless. Seriously.
So, Maanyaa, if you're involved in emergency services, where does thoughts and prayers fit in the org chart and in the procedures manuals for you?
Nowhere. No. If there were thoughts and prayers, we would be asked like, why is it there, and why didn't we remove it? So yeah,
Yeah.
nah, nowhere. Like, ineffective, it does nothing. Actually deflects from the actual problem, in my opinion.
Yes.
Massively deflects. So yeah.
Yeah. On a different thing, people have probably heard about the hydrothermal explosion at Yellowstone. Yellowstone is not erupting. Yellowstone will almost certainly not erupt in your great 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 grandchildren's lifetime. However, however much the so-called History Channel might like to have their Volcano Week, where they look for geologists to say things that make Yellowstone sound like the most dangerous volcano in the world, right? If the so-called History Channel was doing their job, they go to a place like Mount Rainier or White Mountain and say, this place is dangerous, it can kill people, and it doesn't even have to erupt. So, um, so, so Yellowstone, but we saw this thing. Look at this big boom, right?
Holy
Uh,
moly, yeah, that's
right? And you watch this thing here. I can make it a little bit bigger.
Run!
See, blah, 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 it's right. Giant rocks. Now,
boy.
this is not a this is not a this is not an eruption. So wait a minute, this is a volcanic area. There's thermal stuff. There's a big explosion. It threw blocks in the air, right? You can watch it again. First time, look at that. What's happening? People are
Run!
right? running for their lives. Now, by the way, they're not in danger. They're not in danger if it'd been something on the order of. But what happened here, very similar to what happened in White Island, but on a smaller scale.
Yeah, that was on a
What
larger.
happened?
And the thing was that at White Island they had like sulfuric acid, sulfur dioxide, like what do you say? Hydrogen sulfate. Hydrogen
Yeah, another
sulfate and
factor.
and H2S.
Yeah,
So
they were
that's
in
acidic.
a pit where the mode, and so the result is that you had, they had, this is what that turned into the walk area here, right? Lots of stuff.
Oh,
Now, what happened? Steam broke. The steam pressure got to a extreme level where it was able to break through the surface and to explode, right? So all that stuff was, this was a steam explosion. Um, you might think of it as a natural occurrence of like if you've ever seen what happens with a boiler that explodes,
yeah.
or
Pressure
a heat water
cooker.
power unit. Yeah. Um, this is a similar thing. We have a hot springs. Why? Because we've got magma near the surface and the Yellowstone River or lakes that seep down under pressure. You get superheated water. The water works its way to the surface where the pressure drops. At some point, it flash boils. The pressure is such that it breaks through and can cause this kind of event. It is quite dramatic, right? This would be a thing there. Now, had this been actual big or volcano eruption, we have a different story. But
Oh
this is
yeah.
a case of a steam explosion occurring, much like a natural pressure cooker going
And
bang.
yeah, if something at this scale happens, get out of there, in my opinion, because that
Mm-hmm.
steam will travel for some distance and you can get
Yes.
steam burns. If you think,
Yes.
oh, just it's a hot water or hot vapors and it's not gonna,
No.
affect you. Oh hell no, 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 no,
Not
no,
a
no, no.
sauna. It's
That's
not a sauna.
high pressure, high temperature water. It's high temperature plus it's high pressure. So what high pressure does is adds to the temperature. So
Yeah.
you gotta be careful. And the pressure also that like suddenly explodes. Yeah, it can act like a beam of ray. You know what I mean? Sometimes it can act like
Yeah.
that. If you're near the source. But if you're within a kilometer or something, like not even kilometer, sorry, that's too much to say. Um 20 meters, 30 meters, get out of there. Get the fuck out of
Yeah.
there.
I mean, and the thing is that if you've got basically a pressure cooker and the steam, the water flash boils and works its way up to a small crack, it starts shooting out violently. That that like a jet. That jet cracks more rock and throws out more rock, which
Yeah.
opens the hole up faster, which causes more water to flash boil, and it's sort of a runaway event.
It will
And
take
you
a
can
while for
see,
that to settle down, yeah.
yeah, yeah, and you can see this thing, for stuff where it started,
Hmm.
and it went for some number of seconds,
Yeah, look
right?
at
You
that
can
cloud.
see,
Holy moly.
right, large blocks of rocks throwing up there.
Hmm.
And then it sort of, it's finished, right? Because at some point it evacuates the superheated water, flashes the steam, it comes out, and the pressure drops. Certainly, this is the case where, let's go back to stuff. The boardwalk had lots of stuff in the area, and on occasion you'll get, even thermal pools like this that will explode because they're, although typically less. So the more violent thermal events occur when when superheated water has works its way through some crack and breaks open the ground, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? These thermal pools you see are probably previous cases where you've had sort of these flash events open up a hole, and now because you have a hole, the superheated water doesn't flash boil; it comes to the surface and simmers.
Yeah.
So these kind of thermal pools are possibly places where it's gone bang before. Not
Yeah.
a volcanic, but a steam.
But a steam, yeah.
Um,
And also, there's no guarantee that it won't happen again at the same spot.
yeah,
It can
and,
happen.
and
It can happen again in that pool.
this this is the thermal. This is things about thermal stuff. It's one of the reasons also makes it tricky if you had things like geothermal energy and you have things going bang around it. But that's the hazard. So not an explosion. Eruption. Yellowstone is not erupting, but Yellowstone geysers are more controlled steam, water eruptions. Um, these these kind of events that we see here that occurred, hydrothermal explosion um, that occurred in Yellowstone are not as common,
Yep.
but they've had you know every couple of decades something like this happens. Um,
Yep.
but fortunately no one was killed, but it was very dramatic. So what's happening with our uh, dear
Madam
honored
Pele.
lady Pele? Yes.
All right.
Um, and I'll verify as of today, um, we it's not erupting.
Oh,
The
okay.
gas output was 65 tons per day, and if you've noticed, I know you kept track of that, Maanyaa.
Mm-hmm.
This is like uh, you know a number of digits below what an actual eruption is like. Um, we also have earthquakes, right? Right now, there's about there's think about 30 earthquake events happening over the last day. The previous one said there was about 66 earthquakes that erupted um, in the past 24 hours at depth from 1 to 5 kilometers below surface. Um, so there is not much in the way of volcanic gases reaching the surface, but there's lots of earthquakes.
Yeah.
Now, I want to point out, we said, in fact, I sort of said that these inflation events will continue to the next um, volcano show.
Yeah. You said
This okay.
you said no eruptions. We'll see periodic deflation in inflation events, brief burst and swarm of earthquakes followed by a quiet period. Burst of earthquakes will be along the southwest and southeast zone. Gas levels very low. So I think so. You nailed
Except
it.
except that inflation events that occurred at the beginning of July, right? That's our show. Our show was what on what date? July.
6th of July.
Yeah,
Mine
about
6th of
here.
July.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I and the 5th of July for Hawaii time. So if
Yeah.
you look at this chart I captured around this time,
Yeah.
you see these inflation events occurring before when about the 5th or 6th of July, right? Up until that time, we had regular inflation events.
Yeah.
We go back and forth, right?
Mm.
After the show, Madam Pele said, "Let me mess with you." And so this is what's happening. First of all, it's sort of a slow wandering there. You might call it a DI event, but that's pretty anemic from the point of view of the month, right? Look at what's happened. It's basically as I wouldn't call that a DI event. It's kind of sort of, but that's like a way too long for it to be
Uh,
a deflation event.
yeah.
But since the show, because going back, this was captured on this was I took the snapshot on the 20th of July, showing you it was DI event up until Damro's show, and then Madam Pele says, I'm going to go on vacation. Much like Chesh decides, I'm going to go on a vacation, and all hell breaks loose because the people who don't know what they're doing take over the show. So the people who don't know what Madam Pele is doing get taught a lesson, which is Madam Pele can change her mind quite actively. So we this this is really this long thing from like the 23rd today. This is not a DI event. These little spikes are earthquakes. There have been earthquake things happen, little spikes on up and down. Um, but for the most part, we're seeing expansion.
Yeah.
So the tilt is changing,
Yeah.
but we're not seeing deflation inflation. This might have been one, but it's
E-
kind of
yeah, nah. It's neither here nor
yeah,
there.
yeah. So if you look at the length, this is the GPS meters across the caldera.
Hmm.
We can see that we had the drops. So you see, remember this is typically a pulse indicator. When you have an eruption and things contract or expand as a result of the eruption, you'll see a shift here. The scale is in tenth of meters on the side,
Hmm.
and we've seen this dip was essentially the last event. Remember, we had an 11-hour eruption
Yeah.
where it came out in the southwest zone. This is the result of that, and we can see that it settled down after the eruption,
Yeah.
and it's slowly etching
Started
its way back
climbing.
up again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And yeah, at the end, up the graph, we see a blip of it coming down and then
yeah,
resuming
yeah,
its climb. So what
yeah.
happened there?
Well, the blip, the drop, like we've seen several cases back here. In October, we had the drop in February.
Hmm.
Other drops, smaller drops. Those are eruption, right? When magma moves and breaks to the surface, or it doesn't, it just moves
Hmm.
underground.
Hmm.
The places expand or contract as a result of this magma pushing through. Rock at a larger scale is actually quite deforming and plastic, right? At a larger scale.
Hmm.
And so the drop occurs like when you've got a pressure release and magma moves, oftentimes as an eruption on top, becoming lava.
Hmm.
Or underground where the tube pushes through the tubes and doesn't break out. So these drops are are a result of magma having moved.
Yeah.
They're not a predictor. They're a after. It's just like aftershocks aren't a predictor of the main earthquake. They're the result of the earthquake.
Yeah.
I mean, we can see in the longer term. We've seen in when this is the 5-year scale, we can see these drops or blips that again are results of eruptions that have occurred. Um, from the point of view of inflation, we've seen here is a case where this rainbow is about 1.5 centimeters. So each of these little color bands represent 1.5 centimeter change, and here is we see the red square showing where we are in the Big Island. The Holly Mau top is there, and we see this inflation um, pushing on the rock down the southwest zone.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh-oh.
and and but if we look at earthquakes,
Hmm.
here is you see that small hole. This is the summit top, Holly Mau top, and we see along this edge. This is now this is the east rift zone. We
Hmm.
see earthquakes,
Yeah.
right? Now this blip that's down at the bottom, this set here that's kind of detached, is usually the result of when magma is moving down the east rift zone. It starts pushing the island to the south, and you get some residual earthquakes to the south. Most of what we're seeing is this quake of stuff starting to head out towards the east. We don't see this blip down the bottom is where the magma, deep earthquakes where magma comes up the channel. Here we see even larger set, but if we zoom in, we're seeing earthquakes going down the east zone again. We don't see earthquakes in the southwest, right?
Yeah.
It erupted down there, it deformed down there, but now magma appears to have re-entered the east rift zone and is
Yeah.
moving down the line, right? This is the last 7 days, right? Um, but if you look at bigger earthquakes, it's in this zone here. This that we've now talked about the big earthquakes in the last 7 days. The big enough you might be able to feel them, and they're on in this area that seems to be quite active seismically. The last day we can see again earthquakes going down the line, where the big earthquakes are sitting in this one spot. What's this one spot here? Whoops, limit to this. So again, we can see here is the caldera crater,
Yep.
and we're looking at the big quakes. We see kind of a steady stuff of suggesting that magma is now forcing its way down the east rift zone and causing earthquakes as the magma pushes its way in. On this spot, we have 17 big quakes. In the last 7 days, we have 104 measurable earthquakes in this region, and almost nothing in the southwest. So all that building of pressure, the forming of the ground that was the southwest, and that 11-hour eruption, that seems to have stopped, and she seems to be heading towards the east.
So like
What
it's
will
done with
happen?
the. So is it because maybe the southwest rift it's blocked now, so the lava is looking for another way to
Yeah, the
move?
magma. Yeah, the magma seems to have found. It's going to the path of release resistance,
Yeah.
and it seems now that what we thought was have been plugged by the collapse of the summit and that great end of the eruption in 2018, it seems to be re-cracking that rock and forcing its way down that east spine. Now,
Interesting.
if we look at what's happening here, we look at some cameras, live cameras. Of course, it's rainy there. It's a very tropical area, and so this is in the east rift zone where they set up all the cameras to catch things. Here's another camera again, kind of foggy stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but again, no quakes. But they put in that this is the area where those quakes are that you saw. This is sort of the quake zone, and they're putting
Yeah.
cameras up to see if they catch it doing something. Here's another camera here that shows a bunch of things. Again, nice tropical
Nice.
area, but no lava. Um, Closer to the summit, we have these nice green stuff. But again, this is that area very close to that cluster of earthquakes. It's occurring in this region, and plants are going, yeah, okay. um, if we look at again other things down the line, if we look at what's happening in the caldera, right? This
Hmm.
is the summit. This is the area here, and we can see that it's basically now this giant plug. This would have been a magma chamber covered over with liquid rock, but
Hmm.
but no, it collapsed. It created this plug. This
Yeah.
plug is resisting stuff coming up, and it's
The cork.
taking
The cork of the
yes,
bottle.
it's taking paths to the side. Now this will continue to crack, and so it has possibility, like it's done before, of the magma working its way up into crack and having eruptions inside the caldera. We can see here's a live picture of one of the areas here. Again, very classically, what happens post eruption? The gases that kind of leach out precipitate, and you get this dusting of all this very
White.
fine minerals.
Yeah, white area, isn't it? It's different.
Well, there's also other colorations in this as well.
Yeah.
Um, I've been in some of these spots, not this spot, but the
Is it
result of 74 eruption. Go ahead.
is it brown for the iron or what?
As there are various compounds that are occurring there. I
Yeah.
mean, there are a number of these are very mineral rich things, and if you get down and look, if you're able to look at it in detail, you would find lots of varied colors because there's all kinds of minerals there that are sort of precipitating
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Um, like if you ever cook colored so-called Easter eggs, and you decide as a kid that you're going to take all the colors and see what happens, you get brown eggs, right? Well, right. If you look at it there, you get brown. This is like Paleo is doing egg coloring. Throw all the colors in, but if you go down and look at it in detail, you see all kinds of rich colors and minerals there. It's quite fascinating. Now these are somewhat fragile because it starts raining, it wash out and so forth. But for the moment, this is what you get. These sort of
So, so we are not having any deflation inflation events, but we are having earthquakes around the southeast zone, right?
The east zone, the east
Yeah,
rift zone, yeah.
and like
So a little
in
bit of the south and east, mostly east.
yeah, mostly east. And yeah, so what was the other one? So in last 24 hours, did you say there were like 66 earthquakes?
Yes. So here again, here's a map, and you see from a point of view of let me zoom in here. No, not zoom in like that. Zoom in using
I'll be back. Just continue, Landon.
the
Yeah.
sure. So here again, we see in the map area, I have put the um, the Hollymamal pit. I I have put this object here in the map is now in the far is in um, the upper left corner, and we can see all along the spot. You can see here's the distance of kilometers. We can see multiple kilometers going down the line, where it's suggesting that magma is moving down the east rift zone, heading towards other spots. To the southwest, there's nothing. So here now, Halimau is in the upper right, and we see almost nothing in that southwest zone. But we see suggestions here, and again, this is bursts of stuff where the last 7 days there's been 117 earthquakes on this map. In the last day, there's been 7. So it comes and goes. Um, but of that of that 7, there are 2 that are sizable. If you look at the last 7 days, in terms of sizable stuff or feelable stuff, there have been 18 earthquakes that if you've been standing on the surface, you would have felt. So lots and lots of earthquakes suggesting that magma is on the move. How do we know it's on the move? Well, we can see from the deformation, right? The tilt meters. We see here it is. We see that the mountain is continuing to expand. You look at this distance is continuing to expand. We do see this upward trend as it's deforming from expanding. Why? Because the magma is on the move, right? And so the result is that spots like this at the top are just sitting there percolating, whereas the earthquakes are continuing to move. Nothing broken the surface. We haven't seen any gas levels rise dramatically at the summit or meters along the side.
Okay.
They've been chasing these spots to put instruments in there to see if they can detect early signs of gases. Because before lava hits the surface, you get earthquakes.
Yeah.
Earthquakes will crack the rocks. The cracks will allow gas to begin to escape.
Yeah.
To detect the widths of the gases and so forth.
Landon, just trying to confirm. Is it
Sure.
raining on your side of the world?
Yes, it is raining on my side of the world.
Yeah, we hear the sound of the rain. So people are wondering which part of the world is it? Is it mine or yours? I'm like, it's fine.
I believe so. We're in the Pacific Northwest, and very up right next to Canada, and happy. We helped the folks on the other side of Trudeau's ditch celebrate British Columbia Day yesterday,
Hmm.
and it rains up here. We have the Olympic rainforest, which is one of the wettest spots on the continental North America, and we've got 2 volcanoes, Mount Baker and Mount Rainier, that have glaciers that are had a volume on the order of half to a full cubic kilometer of ice. Um, those mountains typically set the world record that year for the most amount of snow. Um, Mount Baker has to give you an example of how wet it is up here. Like Mount Baker, one year had over 100 meters of snow in a year.
Wow.
Talk about snow drifts. Oh, so
Whoa.
now usually it runs in the 30 to 50 meters of snow. But that's, yeah. So it is raining around here. Um, if we look at stuff, so we see if we look at other things in um, Mauna Loa, looking towards Mauna Kea, where the observatories are, it still is sitting there doing its thing. Um, there's not there's not much in the way of earthquakes. Let's just check to be sure that's the case. Because if we zoom out and look at, there's a couple of earthquakes
Yeah.
at Mauna Loa has, but
But
not
not,
not much.
yeah, but not,
Nothing. These are tiny quakes.
yeah.
Nothing that
These
you
are
would
baby
feel.
quakes. Yeah.
Yes, little settling of stuff.
So
So,
are
so
they
it's,
deeper or are they near to the surface?
um, very good question. Let's
Mm.
see. This is 2.8, 7 kilometers, 4 kilometers, 5 kilometers, 7 kilometers. So they seem to be deeper stuff. Although 2.8, 12
There's,
kilometers.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right. All
There is a list of cameras now that's been growing. The date shows you when this camera was installed, and you can go and see some. Some of the cameras are not operating, but the ones that are will give you insight into things. I like to go to the list because it can tell you where it is.
Yeah.
Like here is Upper East Rift Zone, right? This will give you examples of where some of the earthquakes are, right? But there's nothing. It'll give you the snapshot, the thumbnail. You click on Visit Webcam down
Mm.
here,
Mm.
and you'll see the live picture. You'll get a you'll get a Hawaii date time. But you'll see spots like this because it rains, right? It it rains a lot in the Olympic Peninsula. It also rains a lot in Hawaii. Hawaii has some spots where the highest rainfall is
So I see a
in the
lot of,
world occur.
I think so. You mentioned it last time also that a lot of greenery has started like popping up in this area.
Oh yeah, and when you put out very rich minerals, and I'll go back to this picture here of the where is it again? Of got too many tabs. When you see stuff like this, right? This is minerals laying down, and now you have lots of water, and the bacteria takes the minerals and starts doing their bacteria happy dance. You might think of the rock as molding, right? And it begins to break down
They're
the
cooking.
bacteria acid. The acids begin to break down the rock to create little baby rocks. And some bird comes along and boops or drops a seed. That seed takes off, and you've got very, 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 very rich soil that turns into happy dance for plants. That plants roots start taking root, cracking rocks, and
Are
and so
you
you can see the
telling
difference.
me that plants require minerals just, for to thrive? Oh my God. I thought we could just like
Yeah.
pluck a leaf and just bury it in the ground and it was grow into a fucking tree.
Only some plants can be transplanted, and even then, it helps if they have nice stuff. It's one of
Yeah.
the reasons why, for example, the North Island, New Zealand, is such rich, fertile country,
Yeah.
um, dairy and farming stuff, because all those volcanoes created a nice, happy place for plants to
Yeah.
occur. What we're seeing right now with this picture, the the brown stuff was events that occurred around 1974. The lava flows through this area, and you
Okay.
can see that there are now reasonable sized bushes that are popping up.
Mm.
The edge, of course, is very, very lush and rich, and this is
So
very
how
common again.
many so how many years did it approximately take for the plants to like start, putting their roots in that area? So
Well, if you're out in the field, you can see small bushes begin to show just a couple of years after an eruption. Of course, it
okay.
depends upon where. If you're at a peak of a rock, it's going to be harder for material to collect. If you've got a crack
Mm.
where stuff can slough into. So if we look at something um, uh, like let's see, like here, right?
Yeah.
Look at where the plants are
Yeah,
going.
I'm looking at that spot, that itty bitty, like, yeah, right in the middle of everything.
Yes. And you can see, so notice where the plants are showing up. They're showing up in the cracks because the bacteria creating powder, which gets caught in the crack. The rain will wash the seeds into the crack. The cracks will where the plants will start, and then already this is a flow that occurred again relatively recently.
Yeah.
I think these flows were in the maybe in the 90s, and plants are becoming well established. Um,
So couple of years, eh? Depending,
yeah,
of course, the
I mean,
type of the spaces it is, isn't it?
yeah,
If
yeah,
it's like
and the
broken down,
minerals.
yeah, broken down rock, it's easier. But if it's like what we saw in the previous picture, it might take some time for,
Yeah,
yeah, for plants to like
and
start.
you raise another point. If we look at the this is looking at the gas uh,
Gas levels.
areas, right? Gas levels, and the zone that is to the southwest of the volcano is
Yeah,
kind of a desert, right? This. You see those green spots. We have this. If you look at the lower area, you can see this area where there's not as much greenery.
yeah,
Um, the reason why is that the trade winds essentially send wind typically to the southwest, and the acids from the volcanic gases
mm,
tend to also be destructive to immediately to plants. So to the southwest, downwind is kind of a desert where it's harder for plants to grow. They can, but just off to the side of the gas vents, you can get these very lush things, right? In fact, if you look at this spot, where is it here, right?
yeah,
You get this. This is an area that probably the lava flows here were probably 100 years ago, and you can't tell that even where there was any kind of lava there for unless you know what you're looking
yeah,
for,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It the plans come back with a vengeance. Um, for that they are very fast. So this is sort of the state of affairs. Keeley is not erupting. It is
Yeah.
not undergoing deflation of vigilance, but it's had a steadier. It, Earthquakes are coming in bursts, but they're getting pretty consistent.
Hmm.
Um, and and of course, Madam Pele probably heard that we had predicted deflation. They simply I did and said, "You're not going to tell me what to do."
Yeah.
She has her own mind. So
Right. It's like usually when we talk about Mount Kilauea, right?
mhm,
We do it.
yeah,
We always almost expect, yeah, deflation, inflation events will happen, right? And based on
yeah,
that, we predict, yeah, it will happen next month too. And here comes Madam Pele. She's like, "Are you sure?"
yes, because EI events occur when we presume when energy is working its way up through the magma column
Oh
and
yeah,
the top is basically turning over, boiling over, right? It's like a
yeah,
pot
yeah,
that's boiling over and it comes and goes.
yeah,
Um, Now it seems that magma, instead of sitting on the top and churning like a boiling pot,
yeah,
is being pushed down the side. I'll have to say that when the summit was collapsing, that not that the roof of the upper magma chamber fell in and created that giant pit. And the pit that we see now is actually relatively shallow compared with what it used to be. Right, this pit
this
here,
has,
um,
the level has risen up, isn't it, over the years? It
yeah,
has filled up.
yeah, yeah. There's about 700 meters of 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 liquid rock. The bottom of the pit used to be a lake almost 700 meters down,
Yeah.
right? Filled up. So
You have
there's
that
an
diagram
enormous amount.
somewhere. You have that
Yeah.
diagram somewhere, isn't it, showing the levels throughout the years, how it just slowly just like creeps up?
Yes. Yes. If I get it in fast,
I'm
but
being
you can see that.
demanding, like, Landon, give it to me.
Yeah. Um. Um. And and I think it's also the case that what we've seen. Um. what we've seen from this set is that the volcano has put in
What?
you as oops, you still there?
Yeah, the connection dropped and it was like, yeah, whatever.
I'm going to show you a picture, for example. This is what it looked like in 2019. There was a lake at the bottom. What is it? Water lake. Right? See how deep it is. This is after a number of rock slides filled in, right? And if we compare that to this right now, we go back. So here's what it is now. That's what it was then. Here's the top. Look at the top of the caldera.
Wow.
Look at the top now, right?
Holy moly.
All this is about a cubic kilometer of of magma turning to lava and then freezing. The result is this cap is making it hard for more stuff to come up to the top.
Yeah.
Yes, there are these little spots where it's outgassing and stuff, but this is most of this minerals percolating is by semi-liquid material that's in this giant block of cooling rock
Hmm.
that's outgassing, right? It's like a bread that's proofing. um, and giving that nice bread smell. This is rock smell, with minerals. And notice that the minerals are all along the edges where the stuff comes out. These clouds that you're seeing are mostly steam, or just
Ah,
normal
okay.
vapor clouds, right?
S-
But again, that's what it looked like, um, in the past.
Well,
I want to point out as well, if we talk about,
that's
it used to be,
that's 5 years
right?
ago?
Yeah, right. And
2019? Oh, wow.
that was 2019. So now this was
Whoo.
what the Halemaumau lava lake looked like. Um,
Wow.
Scale wise, so this was the lava lake, right?
Mm.
Um, that had now understand the scale. This lava lake, the width of this lava lake was just a small spot about the size of that water.
Really?
That it was a very small
Whoa.
hole, right?
Okay.
Where the event occurred that this thing would
Ah,
piston up
yeah.
and down.
Ah, yeah.
This was the set of what things looked like, um, in there. And on occasion, right, on one of my pictures here, uh, where it was there, on occasion you could catch the lake would hit the top of that hole and
Mm.
start to spill out into the caldera, but only little tiny bits of stuff, not much in the way of there, but mostly, there were mostly what you saw if you went there in the daytime. I'll show you a picture of what it looked like in the daytime. And overlook, you'd see something that looks like this,
Ah, yeah.
right?
Can't see
You'd have,
anything.
yeah, explosions and stuff would come through, because again, a very small pit. This hole, was about 50 meters across, maybe, right?
Oh,
Again,
okay.
about the size this about 50 meters, 75 meters. It started widening up, before the thing, all that magma moved to the underground, to the very far east zone, came out in sort of the ending flood, and that level surface fell in because the magma chamber was there, could support itself, and collapsed.
Yeah.
And stuff moved down, and then it started erupting again, and the result was you have this set. It's getting much harder now for magma to work its way through the surface, break through this rock,
Hmm.
and come to the surface. And you say, well, how do you know? Well, if you look at what the thing is actually doing, as far as earthquakes go, we can
Mhm.
see evidence
Yeah.
that the magma, they've got earthquakes going down the spine.
Mhm.
It's curious it stopped going to the southwest, because it
Yeah,
certainly
it just
looked
like
like,
completely like wiped out, isn't it? Last time it was quite like scattered across the southwest when we saw. I don't know, last time or
yeah,
before that. It was quite like
yeah,
Like it's the what southeast looks like at the present. That's what southwest was looking like. Or looked like.
Exactly. This thing about the stuff where the magma was underground and pushing the rock up multiple centimeters,
Hmm.
um, and nothing to the east. But you can see if you look at this map, you see those holes. This is part of the chain of craters that
Hmm.
head off towards the east. So the magma goes way to the point where it erupted for almost 11 hours
Yeah.
on the June 13th dike area,
Yeah.
stopped, earthquake stopped,
Yeah.
and it's now on the move in the other direction.
Yeah.
Okay? Go
Yeah.
go go figure. She's just deciding, ah, um, uh,
Watch this space for more information.
yeah.
That's what she's
She's
doing.
she's Madam Pele is not indecisive. She just changes her mind,
Yeah.
as the song goes.
Moving on
Yes.
to predictions. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, we'll start wrapping things up because yeah,
Yes.
we are moving
Well,
towards.
let's have the and any questions from the chat, and if
Yeah.
chat has some predictions for next month.
I'm not going to write them down now. I will just take a snapshot later because I'm gonna get
Yeah.
lost. Chesh helps me out.
Yeah. Yes. We
And
are lost. We are lost without
without a
Chesh.
producer, yeah,
Yeah, somebody who knows what they're doing. We don't.
yeah.
Chesh, come back. You are. This is proof that Chesh is useful.
Oh God. Oh God. Yeah, Chesh will be
Or,
like, ah, okay, yes, okay. Appreciate it somewhere, you know.
Maanyaa, you want to go first on your predictions next month?
So, I'll first I'll just elaborate on my last month's prediction and then I'll make the next month's prediction. How about that?
Okay, sure.
So, last month's my prediction was no eruption, burst of outgassing, burst of earthquakes along the southwest rift zone. So I am like way off completely. So yeah, for the coming month, looking at Madam Pele, I would say just it's going to be quiet. The deflation inflation events will become more frequent, but apart from that, everything will be quiet. Low gas levels, blah 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 blah. So
Yes.
that's my prediction.
And of course, Smitty has a prediction that Chesh has many uses. I think that's a prediction,
Yeah.
which I agree with. But Smitty agrees with you. So my prediction. Go ahead.
No, no, go for it. Go for it.
Um, um, and so Red Eye, allegedly, who is in Australia allegedly, but I have to say allegedly with an asterisk because if Red Eye is an alleged continent, um, Maanyaa is even more down under than the down under people. So allegedly.
I'm hiding in the Middle Earth. Yeah.
Uh, but he asked, saying that did you see the lava breaching the drop down? What Rather what you were seeing is I was showing pictures of early stuff. Like this is the days when they remember that lake was there that we watched. Red Eye and I watched that lake boil away in a matter of minutes. Because I was online with Red Eye and I was saying, "Oh look, in fact, he called up and said, "Hey, something's happening." And then this was showing what it looked like when the it was before it even had the pit where it had the little tube. This and spilling out there. So these were sort of old historical stuff. What you're seeing here, Red Eye, is just sort of the outgassing. This is just essentially the gases that have been trapped in this cooling rock that come out and dust the place.
Yeah.
So it is not. So my prediction is that we will have very few, if any, deflation inflation events in the next month.
Yeah.
gas levels will be low, remain low. I should remain low.
Yeah.
And they will continue to see bursts of earthquakes uh, to the east-west zone, with possible. It might add a few to the southwest, but I think it's going to basically mostly go to the east. So we will see off and on bursts of earthquakes, um, and not much in the way of DI events. Low gas levels, and of course, the killer volcano will not erupt, I predict, in the next one. So April has a prediction. She says, I predict more quakes and underground magma movement with one small eruption. So April goes a little bit farther to say quakes, underground movement, and small eruption. I guess she's saying like
Like
that
the
11-hour
one.
eruption there.
Yeah, yeah.
There. Um, uh, and so other, I guess that's about it for the for their again. I really appreciate folks in the chat
So
asking a lot of interesting things. Had
so
we had a real producer, we could have paid more attention.
so last time, Chesh had predicted that we are going to see stability and less earthquakes, consistent outgassing, not any kind of eruptions, maybe tremors here and there. So I think so. She missed the mark there, if I'm not wrong.
Yes. So let us predict for let's make a prediction on behalf of Chesh.
Okay.
Since she can't hear to defend herself, what do you think Chesh would predict?
Boom.
What do you predict Chesh would predict?
Boom. She'll.
Chesh says, "I want big boom."
Yes. I want big boom. Because that's the attitude she's coming back. So coming back with. So
Yes.
I was like.
Yes, she's on vacation. She's saying, "I'm on vacation. I came back. I expected you folks to show lots of lava porn. That's lava flow and so forth. I'm disappointed in you."
Oh boy.
And yeah, go ahead.
Smitty said, slow, steady fart, silent and deadly, very low gas levels, no eruptions. So he's mostly correct, isn't it? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you say the slow gritty fart, does that mean 60 tons of sulfur dioxide a day? That doesn't seem like a fart. This seems like more just breath and stuff. So he might have
that's
missed a
bad
little
breath.
bit on the. Yes.
But he's right on the very low gas levels. The no eruptions part, I think so. You could say like the southwest rift didn't see much eruptions. It was the southeast, so he's technically you can say he's correct around that part. So
correct. Yeah, I think if we see earthquakes in the southwest rift zone next month, there's stuff settling out. There won't be much. There'll be just a spot or two, and I think we're going to see bursts of quakes. The interesting thing is, will the quakes continue to start moving down the line, right? Because when we look at the actual quakes now, where are they? The quakes are somewhere.
Where's that tab? Where's that tab?
There it is, right? All right. The question is will the line of earthquakes continue to move down the line, suggesting the magma's on the move? Will it stop, back up, and break open? And it seems like if you look at the intensity of quakes, this is along that spine. Quakes mean rock is cracking. Cracked rocks are a place where gas could start coming out, but no gas is arriving at the surface. Rocks cracking to earthquakes because of magma pressure would suggest that that's potential weak spot. So if there's a burst of magma coming to the surface, this would probably be one of the weaker spots that it might come out in. Not at a top where what was once Gilligan's Island and a lava lake is now a giant cork on the top, and it's coming and it's moving to the side. So I think again, we will see continue, bursts of earthquakes down the East Rift Zone,
Yeah.
um, but we won't see gas levels rising to the point of suggesting that magma is getting more close to the surface.
Yeah.
And we won't see much in the way of DI events because the magma's on the move, not sitting there percolating and turning over.
So we had a few more people who had made some predictions last time.
Please.
So Mark, I don't know if they're in the chat. They said a volcano will erupt somewhere in this year. So they're
That's
technically
correct.
correct. Zar said whatever Chesh says in a poetic way. So I guess bad luck, Zar. April
Yes.
had said 400,000 washing machines of lava flow, major southwest rift zone event. Um,
Yes.
and they had said that it's going the lava flow will be out of a new spot. So I think April, you kind of went way
I
way.
I understand, April. It would have been really nice if that happens. At some point, we will get a Southwest rift zone,
Mm,
and what April had predicted will come to pass.
yeah.
Some of the most spectacular events of Kilauea is when that Southwest zone breaks open. You get multi-kilometer chain of fountains of stuff. That hasn't really happened since the late '60s, early '70s, but we're hoping it'll happen at some point. We thought that when the 2018 end of the Great 35 and a half year eruption occurred, all that magma moved to the very south, the east end of the island, and the summit collapsed. We thought surely now it's time to go to the southwest. And it even got to the point of 11 hours of stuff, but it just didn't have the. That was just kind of a surface little bit, not a big rush,
Yeah.
the 400,000. So,
The
so
teasing.
April, understand, I really hope at some point that prediction will occur. I just don't see it happening now. If it did, I would be flabbergasted, right? In the next month, right?
Yeah.
But you never know.
Yeah. So Crusher had said volcano will do a thing. Technically, Madam Pele did do a thing. So she went the opposite of what our predictions were. So yeah, technically they're right. So yes,
Yeah.
volcano will do a thing. Katina had said more earthquakes and one or two small flows. Um, yeah. So, and annoying sparkling. How much Pepto-Bismol? What the hell was that? So that's it. Yeah. So no eruption, no
Gas.
output of
Come on, gas.
gas.
Gas, yes.
Yeah. So that said more earthquakes and one or two small flows. No eruption, no output of gas, no deflation, inflation events. So I said so except for the small flows, I think so they got it mostly.
Yeah.
They hit it on
Yeah.
the they hit the hammer on the net. You know.
Yeah. Um, Now, Smitty asked about nautical washing machines, just like there's nautical miles versus statute miles, and April clarified fluid washing machines. So I think she
Yes,
is referring to the metric
I have that
washing machine
word.
equivalent.
I have that word. I didn't mention it because I was like, I don't know if it's like, yeah. So thanks, April. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think yeah, Madam Pele continues to surprise us. She's like, you ain't got my number yet, and you ain't never gonna get my number. So, and we sit here in the hopes that maybe one day she will, you know,
Yeah.
um,
Well, understand, that we are, even though we are having fun at at pointing out the slight differences there. Overall, you're beginning to see the rhythm of the volcano, and you can decide when something happens,
yeah,
when it's surprising, when it's not surprising. So hopefully, as you continue to watch this show for months, you will begin to get a much better feel of the rhythm.
yeah.
And when Madame Paley does her next big dance on the surface, you will have understood what led up to it. You'll appreciate it much more. You won't say the world's ending and blah blah blah. You'll say, "Oh,
Damn apocalypse!
something's
Just
happening."
run for the damn hills. And
Um,
also we did observe like last month's predictions. A few of them were
yes,
right on the money.
yeah,
So
yeah.
people are starting to get the feel of Madam Pele now. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But it's like a
but
saying, we predict tomorrow the temperature will be 23 Celsius and it's 21 Celsius, right? Yeah,
no,
it's
a few people did were very close to what Madam Pele was up to.
yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah,
added more, which kind of like then technically made them wrong. But
yeah. And
I think so. Everybody's getting a feel of Madam Pele now. They're like,
I want to encourage people to visit Hawaii. Um, polite tourists are very much appreciated over there. Also, like on Maui as well. Don't be a jerk. Be polite. You will experience Polynesian hospitality, right? As those in New Zealand know the Maori culture, right? If you are respectful, you will have an amazing time. They are very generous in spirit, they're very kind, and they're very accommodating. And the traditions, we talk about the traditions of Madam Pele, but we'll see the Hawaiians there, for the most part, are very appreciative of people who come and visit and be polite and respectful, and then return back. The national park is a very short access. If you fly into Hilo, which is on essentially the central uh, east side of the Big Island, international airport, you get a rental car is just the other side of the exit terminal. Get a rental car and it's 40-minute drive to the park. You pay your entrance fee and you're there for the week, good for the whole week of coming and going.
oh, for the
And
whole
even though it's
week.
not a rush,
So
yeah, even though, yeah. And if you're a veteran, you just say, I'm a veteran. You show your veteran ID card, you get in free. Um,
nice.
because the Park Service and even though it's not erupting, there's no red stuff there. There are plenty of hikes to go on. There are plenty of interpretive things. There are plenty of spots. You can stay at the town of Volcano, which is just outside the park, or you can stay even at the Volcano Lodge, the historic lodge there. Hawaiians do appreciate it, and there's lots of stuff to see, even if it's not red stuff immediately on the ground. So consider supporting your local Polynesian culture.
Yeah, it's important. It's important to preserve, the old traditions that, are different from us and can get overlooked just cause, they're not in the mainstream, you know, research or media. So yeah, it's very
Yeah,
important to bring them back to the mainstream
yeah.
conversations and
Me,
enjoy them.
yeah. Meanwhile, the OGS service has, they're suffering from funding in
Okay.
part because we have a dysfunctional legislative body, and so they're able to do what they do in lot because of help. So they're in need of help.
Okay.
But we have been establishing instruments along the east rift zone. So if something happens, we might be able to do. I mean, we're a little bit half, flat-footed on the southwest zone, where had it been longer than 11.5 hours or 11 hours of lava, we would have had nice views. It's just that it's got to last a little bit long
Yeah.
to see. So,
Yep.
so thank you very much. I think, Maanyaa, we have done what we could to trash the reputation of Chesh's
Yes.
channel.
Mission accomplished? I don't know. Let us know in the comments, maybe, Um, and
So what's the calendar like for stuff? What do we have here for
I
in terms of calendar?
so I would not. Most probably it's going to be the next one, maybe happening around
The
31st or
sixth?
7th, 30th or 6th, I guess, or
Yeah.
31st or
So
7th.
so
Yeah,
so,
I
so potentially like September 6th could be a spot. Does that
I
does
don't I don't know. Chesh will have to confirm that because
yeah,
sh
we'll talk offline.
yeah,
There is an unnamed tavern show that's occurring on August 24th. Um, that
yes,
I believe starts at 15:30, 3:30 p.m. Pacific time.
yeah,
Um, there might be things happening on World of Politics. I don't know. It remained to be seen whether anything is happening in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
in that line.
Some very interesting reactions from conservatives and Republicans. Yeah, 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 since the announcement.
And
It's
and Chesh has been on vacation. She's been on the move. We might hear from Chesh.
soon.
Maybe she might say, "Oh, nothing happened. Nothing to see here. People move along." She might pull a Wizard of Oz saying, "Pay no attention to the
Who
goblin
is
behind the curtain."
there?
You
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah, you
Stay
never know.
tuned.
Stay tuned, everyone. Thank you for coming today. It will be a very simple sign off. So yeah, just the screen blacking off. So
Yeah,
yeah,
pretend. Dun, 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 something like that.
Dump Bake Friday, dum dum dum. It's gonna be fun.
It'll be fun.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. See you later.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Ciao.